Hello everyone, I'm Jeremiah Hall. Here at WCTV, we like to help present informative yet entertaining content. Today we plan to continue that trend, but more importantly, allow you all to see the importance of today's topic. Charter Day is one of the most important days here on campus. It allows us to celebrate the true beginning of Waynesburg University, the day we celebrate when Waynesburg received its charter. We're going to take in this preview of this year's event, but more importantly, understand the history that comes with this day. So sit back, relax, and enjoy today's Charter Day episode.
So I'm up here in the Benedum now, where the kitchen is hard at work the day before Charter Day to get ready for the big Charter Day chicken lunch that's gonna be happening down here tomorrow. Now they are down here really busting their butts, breading, frying, getting sauce ready, preparing sides, because tomorrow everyone on campus is gonna be down here expecting a great, awesome Charter Day meal. After some scheduling changes last year with the school, chapel service now happens after lunch on Charter Day. So we see a little difference in the time they have to prepare the morning of. And so we spoke to Michelle Houston, the food services director, to see a little bit of what goes into preparing for Charter Day, as well as what the vibes are in the kitchen.
Well, last year was 175 years. So we did a really big celebration with the expectations of having a bigger crowd, which we did. So this year, yes, it's just as important, but it's not 175 years. So we are anticipating still providing food for about 450, and that takes many days of preparation. Last year was the first year they did chapel after lunch service, so that will happen again. So this is a quick lunch process. We have to be ready by 11 when normally we don't open till 11:30. So doors will open at 11 a.m. so faculty and staff can make their way over, and then any students that are out of class earlier, they'll be able to eat before 11:30. So, you know, of course, every year you have to look with what fresh vegetables are we having coming in. I know last year we did asparagus. This year I chose a roasted broccoli. We're doing a pasta primavera in case we do have some vegetarians that will be joining us for lunch, give them. Then A-Zone also adapts to that menu too. So we make it allergen friendly, but try to make them enjoy the whole Charter Day experience with the chicken as well.
Welcome back. I'm Stone Mangus alongside Brady Donovan, and we're going to be going over a brief history of Waynesburg's Charter Day and exactly what it means to the university. Charter Day is an annual celebration that commemorates the day that Waynesburg University officially received its charter from the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. This charter was granted on March 25, 1850, shortly after the school was founded in 1849 by the Cumberland Presbyterian Church. The charter legally established the institution and allowed it to operate as a degree-granting college. Because of this, Charter Day serves as a reminder of the university's beginnings and the values it was founded on. Waynesburg University started as a strong vision by the Pennsylvania Presbytery. A committee was established by the Presbytery to found a new college, and in 1849, Greene County was the perfect place. A year later, on March 25, 1850, Pennsylvania Governor William F. Johnson signed the school's official charter. The charter's preamble stated that petitioners in Greene County were to provide a building for the school and that the Cumberland Presbyterian Church was to have control of the college.
The first charter was 1850, March of 1850, by the Pennsylvania legislature. The president at that time was Joshua Lochran. He was a minister. And just to give you an idea of the sign of the times, he predicted that electricity would someday become more important than steam power, is where the university was and where our society was at the time. And it was an amazing moment in this community and in the lives of so many people that came afterwards.
The charter also stated that there were to be 3 professorships. They were filled by Reverend Joshua Longren as president, Reverend R.M. Fish as professor of mathematics, and Miss Margaret Kerr Bell to lead the female students in the separate female seminary. The state envisioned a campus that was dignified and held a strong mission to pass along academic pursuits. The university would later use over 803,000 bricks made by clay from a lake where Fountain Park currently stands today to construct Miller Hall and Hannah Hall. Both buildings now reside on the National Registry for Historic Places. Hannah Hall would become the first building on campus in November of 1851, and it was open to both male and female students for the winter term, which began later that month.
Although the university dates back to the mid-19th century, the modern-day Charter Day celebration did not begin until 1987. University leaders at the time wanted to create a tradition that would honor the institution's founding and help students better understand the history of their school. The first Charter Day event included students and faculty gathering on the lawn of Miller Hall, followed by a procession led by the senior class through the town of Waynesburg. The day ended with a special ceremony and a speech at a local Presbyterian church.
Since then, Charter Day has become one of Waynesburg University's most important campus traditions. Each year, the university holds a formal convocation ceremony in Roberts Chapel. During this ceremony, a keynote speaker, sometimes a public figure, pastor, or distinguished alumnus, speaks about leadership, faith, and service, the campus's core values. The event recognizes faculty achievements and honors individuals who have made important contributions to the university.
One of the most meaningful parts of the celebration is the recognition of faculty excellence. Awards such as the Lucas Hathaway Teaching Excellence Award are presented to professors who demonstrate outstanding dedication to teaching and mentorship. This helps highlight the important role that faculty members play in shaping students' experiences at the university. This focus on service reflects Waynesburg University's mission to prepare students for lives of leadership and service.
The Lucas Hathaway Teaching Excellence Awards are awarded annually to full-time and part-time faculty members on Charter Day who are nominated by students, faculty members, staff members, or Waynesburg University alumni. The Lucas Hathaway Charitable Trust, which has established an endowed fund for the awards, is funded by J. Richard Lucas and C. Joan Hathaway Lucas, members of the class of 1950. J. Richard Lucas was born and raised in southwestern Pennsylvania and received numerous awards with his work in the Christ Episcopal Church and as chairman of the Mining and Minerals Engineering Department at Virginia Tech. Annual award recipients receive a plaque and a monetary gift in recognition of their teaching excellence. Today, Charter Day serves both as a celebration of the past and as a reminder of the university's ongoing mission. It connects current students with the university's long history and encourages them to carry forward the values of faith, learning, and service that have guided the institution since its founding. Thank you, and enjoy Charter Day.
This year, Waynesburg University is celebrating its 176th year. Charter Day, being held on March 24th, will have its service here in Roberts Chapel. Currently, it's a lot more quiet than you will find it on a typical Tuesday here at Waynesburg, with the chapel being able to hold 741 in total.
Charter Day has had different forms and ways of being presented to the community of Waynesburg, with different variations of services to different events that people can be a part of. Something that has stayed true, however, besides the mission, is the annual chapel service. This goes so much bigger than any normal service. Students and faculty can also expect a mix of contemporary and traditional music. The Lamplighters will also put on a one-song performance early in the stages of the service.
One part of the service we have for Charter Day awards 3 professors here with the Lucas Hathaway Awards. One for a part-time professor, one for introductory classes, and one for history.
Last year, Shaylee Knight, Christy Wise, and Dr. William Batchelder were the recipients of the Lucas Hathaway Awards. In the past, professors like Doug Wilson, Dr. Larry Stratton, and Coach Stow have all won the award. And at times, Charter Day has even gotten more recognition from other local cities as well, even when it dates back to more than 20 years ago.
A celebration and dedication at Waynesburg College in Greene County means guaranteed good news.
A Charter Day convocation celebrated the college charter granted 150 years ago, 151 years ago, I should say. This week, after the convocation, the upper campus area was dedicated the Carl D. Johnson Commons in honor of the campus's master planner.
Another aspect of the Charter Day service is the annual guest speaker, with this year's speaker, though, being a familiar face.
This year, we are honored to have Lanny Fateri as the guest speaker here at Roberts Chapel. Lanny will be covering the verse Luke 12:48.
Luke chapter 12, verse 48 states, "To whom much is given, much will be required." Fateri spent 33 years broadcasting for the Pittsburgh Pirates, but more notably, after stepping away from the Pirates, he was a professor and advisor for 16 years at Waynesburg University. Fateri has worked with countless amounts of students in the Department of Communication and has been a part of other Waynesburg University events, like commencements and being a name reader at the ceremony each year. Charter Day in a whole is a day that goes so much farther than celebrating the birthday of the university or even the great meals that are prepared in celebration. It is about acknowledging the vast and rich history set by students and staff well before all of us. Being able to properly give time and thanks to the people who have laid the foundation in which we as students and staff of the university constantly walk across. Because without Waynesburg University declaring its mission of faith, learning, and service, a lot of the success and history established here would yet to exist. So with that, we are here at WCTV submit to all of you to continue to not only to grow in your faith, but also to grow in your understanding as we as members of Waynesburg got to where we are. Who else is better to do that than our very own President Douglas G. Lee, as he got to sit down with freshman Stone Mangus and help us understand exactly what Charter Day represents here at Waynesburg University.
Welcome back to the WCTV Charter Day Preview Special. I'm Stone Mangus. Alongside President Lee, and I have the opportunity to ask him some questions on what exactly Charter Day means to the university and the community of Waynesburg. And President Lee, that's actually my first question for you. Can you talk a little bit about the role that Charter Day has in the community that is Waynesburg University?
Absolutely. It's a celebration of our mission, of our history, and of the students and faculty that we have that really are committed to this institution. You know, Charter Day was the first charter was 1850, March of 1850 by the Pennsylvania legislature. The president at that time was Joshua Lochran. He was a minister. And just to give you an idea of the sign of the times, he predicted that electricity would someday become more important than steam power, is where the university was and where our society was at the time. And it was an amazing moment in this community and in the lives of so many people that came afterwards.
Why is it important for students to learn and understand what Charter Day is and why it impacts the university and themselves?
One of the things that we are always noted for is the strength of an understanding of the mission of this university and a commitment to that mission. You know, when we are accredited, when folks come from the outside, they're just so impressed with the way that students understand the idea of this institution and what it's committed to. And that doesn't come easy, but it's interesting to me, if I could digress for one moment on this point, the correlation that I see between the understanding that all of you have and the kind of students that we have here in this moment and in these last few years parallels in so many ways the early students that were here from 1849 all the way up until 1900. You know, those folks that went out when they graduated and did great things in society, becoming great leaders. I've gone up into the Trans-Appalachian room of the library, and I've read the writings of those students of those early eras, and it sounds so much like all of you today. And so I see that great connection. And you know, in my office is a hymn that was written for Waynesburg in 1912, and it's called Dear Waynesburg. But there's a verse that really resonates with me, and it says that its past and present will unite to make this old world brighter. And I see the idea of our Charter Day, our founding mission, that mission engraved in the hearts of the students at that time, and just that whole sense of purpose uniting now in the hearts and minds of the students here as you go out into the world to make the old world brighter. Our motto, Fiat Lux, let there be light. The first words that God speaks in the Bible, let there be light, is what we're about when we say Fiat Lux. So that's sort of in a broad way what I think about when I think about Charter Day.
You've dedicated many years to this university. You were a student here in 1978, you were an employee, and now you're the president of the university. Could you tell us some of your strongest memories of Charter Day and your time here at Waynesburg?
I think the strongest memories are obviously many of the speakers that we've had and the insights that they shared over the years to the folks in attendance, because that moment is a reflection of who we are and what we're about. And to have individuals come and give their perspective on that over many years has a profound influence on the way you look at this. I remember one Charter Day when one of our speakers was one of our alums who was a minister, and he said this that I never forgot, and it was the first time I ever heard it, that service is in our DNA. Service is in our DNA. And after he said that, then you began to hear this DNA idea, this is in our DNA. After that, in different commercials, and I said, somehow I think that all started at Waynesburg when he said it at Charter Day in that moment. But great moments like that are what I reflect on, the messages and the day. Of course, Charter Day chicken is important too. Yeah.
Of course, we're looking forward to that the most, probably as students. And then, speaking of students, how important is it to preach the importance of Charter Day to incoming students and first-year students that are new to the university? How important is it to preach how important it is?
It is a matter of understanding who we are and how each of us relates to that, part of that. I met with a really wise man, a religious leader many years ago, and he talked about the need for having roots and knowing where your roots are. And he talked about when he was promoted to a position, he received flowers. And he noted that the plants lived, but the flowers died. And he pulled the flowers out and he saw they had no roots, no connection. Whereas the plants obviously had roots. And so it's knowing what our roots are, what we're about. And that gives students a sense of purpose, a sense of belonging, a sense of place, a sense of understanding of the mission, and a sense of understanding what their purpose is as they graduate and go out into the world and become alumni of this institution. So that's significant.
As I mentioned before, you spent quite a few years here at Waynesburg. What would you say the biggest difference is from when you first got here to now about Charter Day specifically?
The biggest difference. Wow, that's a really interesting question. And it's difficult to compare. You know, I was a member of the Alumni Council, president, and then on the Board of Trustees. And initially, I think when you become part of an organization in a deep way, you begin to try to figure out, okay, exactly what is the mission, what we're about, what are we doing? And so as I listened to those early Charter Days personally, it resonated at some level. But as the years have progressed and I've listened time and time again to the speakers and engaged in the ceremony, and I've seen the impact on the students, it's touched me at a much deeper level of understanding the mission and who we are and how all of this relates to God and God's plan for us and the faith that we share and the faith that this institution has had through the ages, almost through the centuries of relying on God. And that's, to me, really what's become more apparent than anything is as I've reflected on these moments and on these these charter days, I've reflected back on those moments when we have seen God actively working here. Oftentimes you don't realize it until it's over and you can reflect back on it. And knowing that God has a purpose for this institution and loves us and cares for us, I think, as we move forward into the future is important. So that's the change that's come about for me, that ability to reflect more deeply on who we are, why we're here, and what we're about.
All right, I'm going to finish off with one last question for you. Are you excited for some Charter Day chicken?
I am. What I'm excited about is how everyone is excited about it. You know, it's one of those traditions, and it's Charter Day chicken, and it's a great recipe, but beyond that, it's just like everyone embraces that moment. Let's go have some Charter Day chicken. You know, let's go have Charter Day popcorn or what Charter Day whatever, but it happens to be chicken, and that's what we hold up as a great moment. And that's so much fun because that's that connection with our past, our heritage, and you know, you see everyone lined up in the dining hall for the Charter Day chicken, and I know, you know, our dining services do a great deal of work in making sure it's perfect. It's almost like the Thanksgiving turkey in a way, you know, or the Christmas goose, I suppose. The Charter Day chicken is up there with those great national holidays.
Well, I know I'm certainly looking forward to it. I know a lot of other students are. Well, President Lee, thank you again for coming and taking some time to answer some questions about Charter Day, and we're all looking forward to it. It's going to be a great one. So thank you again.
Thank you for watching this Charter Day special preview. All of us here at WCTV hope this program gave you a deeper look into the history, tradition, and impact of Charter Day here at Waynesburg. From honoring the university's roots to showcasing the events and experiences that bring students, faculty, alumni, and the community together, Charter Day continues to represent what it truly means to be a Yellow Jacket. We hope this preview helped get you excited for everything still to come this year and informed about the history, tradition, and impact across campus. Be sure to stay connected with us for full coverage of Charter Day festivities happening across campus. For everyone here at WCTV, I'm Tyler Walls. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you on Charter Day.